Believe it or not, in some ways, AutoCAD gives us more text options than most desktop publishing programs. In this lesson, we're going to explore text justification, an area where AutoCAD gives us a tremendous amount of control. Let's take a look. On screen, I have an example of some text. Let's assume this text is sitting on an imaginary baseline. Most desktop publishing programs give us 3 justification points: left justified, center justified, and right justified. In AutoCAD, we have another baseline that runs along the top of our text objects, and this baseline also has 3 justification points. There's another baseline that runs through the middle of the text object. This one has 3 justification points as well. There is even another baseline that runs along the bottom of our text object, and this baseline has 3 justification points. We even have an additional justification point called middle that falls at the absolute middle of the text object. So, as you can see, we have a tremendous amount of control when it comes to justifying text. At this point, you may be asking, when would we need all of these justification options? Well, let's jump back over to AutoCAD. On my screen, I have a drawing of a title block that I've been working on. I am going to zoom in on the lower right corner. Take a look at my layer control. I am practicing good form. I have a layer for my text. Also notice that I've created these magenta lines. These represent the margins I'd like to use in each text area in the title block. We have 2 main text heights that we're working with. This small text has a height of 0.05 and this larger text has a height of 0.1. I'd like to start in this upper text area. I'd like to recreate a text label very similar to this one that says title. I'd like to add the word project up here in the upper left corner. To do that, I'm going to come up to the annotation panel and I'll launch the single line text tool. Now where's my start point going to be? Take a look at the command line. I'm going to come down and choose justify. I'll then use the top left justification point, and I'd like this top left justified at the shift right click intersection of these 2 margin lines. I press enter to accept the height of 0.05. I'll also accept the rotation angle and I'll type project : enter. Let's add another label. Down here in this box, I'd like to add the word revision, and I'd like it to be centered inside this shape, and I'd like it to be up against my margin. I'll launch the single line text command again. I'll then come down and choose justify. This text is going to be middle left justified, and I'd like it middle left justified at the midpoint of this line. I'll accept the height and rotation angle and I'll type revision. As you can see, using these text justification options, I can precisely place my text in this title block. Let's try another. I'd like to create a larger text item in this upper block, similar to the one beneath it, and I'd like to position this text exactly in the middle of this area. I'll launch the text command again. My start point, I'll come down to justify. This time I'm going to use middle. And where the middle point of the text is going to be, shift right click, mid between 2 points. I'd like it placed midway between the endpoint here and the endpoint here. Let's go with a height of 0.1. I'll accept the rotation angle of 0 and I'll type project name. I'll pan this over it a little bit more. Take a look at this area. I've got designed by, drawn by. This is going to be checked by. This text is going to be middle right, justified up against this margin line. I'll launch the text command. Here's a shortcut. Rather than coming down and choosing justify, if I just type the letters that represent my justification, AutoCAD will recognize that I'm entering a justification. So I'll type MR and press enter. The middle of right point of the text will be the midpoint of this line. I'll go with a height of 0.05 and the rotation angle of 0. And this will say CHKD : and I'll press enter twice. Now let's take care of these blocks on the right. Over here, I'd like to have some placeholders that represent the initials of people that work on this plan set. I'll launch the text command again. I'm going to use my shortcut. This will have a justification of middle left, ML, enter. It will be middle left justified at the midpoint of this line. I'll accept the height and rotation angle, and for right now, I'm just going to type XXX for the initials. Rather than recreating 2 more text objects, let's just copy this one. I'll launch the copy command. What do I want to copy? selecting objects, and I'll pick this up from the lower right corner of this block, and I'll place it to the lower right corner of the other blocks. When I'm finished, I'll press escape. Finally, let's take care of this area below. This is going to say sheet 1 of whatever sheet number we end up with in the plan set. So the word of appears obviously going to be top center justified. Let's launch the text command. Start point of text. I am just going to type TC. The top center point will be the midpoint of this line. The height is 0.05, the rotation angle is 0. I'll type of and I'll press enter twice. Let me show you something important. If I select this text object that I just made, notice that it has a couple grips. You'll always have a grip in the lower left corner. You'll also have a grip at the location of the justification point. This grip can also be used as an object snap. I'm going to deselect this and I'll select this one. Based on the grip location, we can see this text was placed center justified. Let's copy this text from its insertion point to the midpoint of this line on the other side. I'll press escape to deselect, and then I am going to come up and launch copy. I'll select a number and press enter. Base point, shift, right click. I'll come down and choose insert. This allows me to grab it by the justification point. I'll then hover close to the text object and click. I'm holding it from that justification point, and now I'd like to place it to the midpoint of this line. When I'm finished, I'll press escape. Now that I'm finished adding text, I'd like to remove all of these margin lines. I'll do that by selecting one of them. I'll right click and choose select similar, and I'll press delete. As you can see, with a great deal of settings comes a great deal of control. Using AutoCAD's extensive list of justification options, we can precisely position text anywhere in a drawing.